What's up, guys? Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we've got some newfound damage on the Z that I've got to take care of. So let's get this front end taken apart and jump straight into it. All right, we got some stuff out of the way. Let me show you the damage I'm talking about. Now, if you've been watching since the beginning, you'll know that, let me get these out of the way. There was a bit of frame damage to this car previously from an accident, right? It didn't look like this when I first started, especially up there. That is a bit concerning. So that was not separated a while ago. It used to just look a little crumpled. This weird bit, that was already there, but it definitely wasn't split all the way down. I also guess I never paid attention to just how poorly that was repaired or whatever that is. It looks terrible, but the main thing I'm worried about is the fact that this is actually coming apart. And if we take a look above, it looks even worse. So from the top side here, you can see the frame rail is starting to split right there. And then you can get a better look of how it goes down. Now, thankfully, this is the very front of the frame rail. It's forward of the strut towers, meaning there's no real load on it. There's nothing other than the bumper support, or the crash bar rather. So it's not really structural. I just don't want it to get worse, especially if I kind of like bump the front of this car into another car down the road drifting or anything like that. I don't want my frame rail just to collapse and then really ruin the car. So we're gonna get in here, we're gonna clean the metal up and see what I can do about fixing this and strengthening it. Okay, I don't know what this is, but I had to film it because whatever this stuff is, it's just caked on everywhere. That's what all of this is. This is not how you fix a car. I don't care what you're doing. You don't just put some terrible booger welds in here and then cover it all up with what looks like tar. This is awful. I'm gonna be here a while cleaning this up. I don't think a screwdriver is the right tool, but I will be back and this will be clean and ready to fix. Well, got that cleaned up the best I could. Now we can get a better look of what we're dealing with here. And it's absolutely terrible. I have no idea who did this, why they did this, what drugs they were doing when they did this. But this is not how you fix anything. I'm not a great welder by any means, but these are terrible. I don't know why that's just a giant hole. Like I said, it's splitting up there. The funny part is these welds along the side here, they're not even attached. This whole panel just flexes because it's not welded at all right there. So this is a mess, but it shouldn't be too hard to fix. You can see it's kind of going down at an angle like this. So I'm gonna get the jack under the front of it, try and jack it up and see if I can get this to level out a bit. And then we'll come up with a plan of attack on how to fix all of this terrible looking mess. Little by little with a piece of wood on the jack, I've been jacking it up there, been doing it under there, and it's slowly starting to get a bit more straight. Now, I'm not aiming for perfection here. Obviously, with that, it was never going to be perfect, but just trying to get it a little bit better than it was before I weld all that back up and make it strong again. All right, that's about as clean and straight as it's gonna get. Like I said, not perfect, but it's better than it was. And once I get to welding, it'll definitely be better than it is. So I'm gonna bring the welder over here, get all set up, and then start to burn this thing back together. So now a question I struggle with pretty often with all kinds of different projects is how much is enough versus how much is too much. So looking at what I did, You can see I welded up the side that was totally disconnected. I welded the top, and on the actual top of it, I welded that up as well. So it's a lot more sturdy than it was, but I could go further and like put a plate in this area. I could put a little plate in this little area. I kind of tried to weld over the ugly welds up here, but obviously that didn't get much better, and really neither did this. But again, at least it's a whole lot stronger than it was. So now the question is it good enough? Probably. Like I said, there's no load at the front part of that frame rail. There's really nothing there except the radiator support. It's not like there's any suspension movement or anything going on there. As far as all the suspension and everything behind the strut towers, it's perfectly straight, not damaged. So this damage is kind of superficial and doesn't matter a whole lot. I just didn't like the fact that my frame was splitting. It looked pretty terrible. So I would say it's fixed. Can I go further? Yeah. Can I do a bit more? Yeah. Do I need to? Not really. So I'm probably just gonna call it here because it looks fine. I'll probably hit some paint or maybe some undercoating under here just so it doesn't rust. And then just monitor it over the next couple months and see, does it start cracking again? Do I need to do it more, or is it gonna be fine? I think it's gonna be fine. And with a little bit of actual undercoating, not weird tar stuff, it looks all right. Well, it doesn't look great, but hey, it's better than it was. And like I said, I was not shooting for perfect anyway, so this is gonna have to work. With that, as good as it's gonna get, that means we can put the front end back together. But before we do, I have something to make the front end of this car a little bit better. All right, let me show you what we're working with here. We have a new set of headlights. Hold on. Look at that. It's even wrapped in plastic. Cool thing about these headlights is they are the older style that use regular bulbs. If you remember from the last video, I was complaining about my headlights and how I wasn't able to just replace a light bulb in them because they're the factory HIDs. They're a total pain, and one of mine was completely broken and the other one was like half broken. So it made way more sense to actually go back to the older style that uses normal bulbs. One, it's a whole lot cheaper, and two, it's way easier to service. Now I did have to switch some wiring around, but thanks to Amazon, that was so easy. They actually sell a like jumper harness that converts it from the HID style to the older style. Let me show you what it looks like. So it's just this little harness right here. It plugs in to the old plug that would have gone into the headlights before, and then it converts it to this style, which is the non-HID style. So pretty cool setup. I'm gonna get it all hooked up and double check that it works. I was curious if there was any weight difference between the factory HID ones and these non-HID ones, and there's not much, but I thought I'd show you anyways. So these are the factory HID ones. You can see the ballast down there. Just have a little scale here, and it reads 6 pounds, 3 ounces. This is the aftermarket one, non-HID, no ballast at the bottom there. £5 pounds, 1 ounce. So a little over a pound per headlight. Nothing to write home about, but hey, weight's weight, right? One more thing I want to show you guys before we wrap this video up, and it has to do with safety. So the first track event I went to in the Z, I had a fire extinguisher in it, but it was a fire extinguisher for my garage, and it's not really made to do like chemical fires or electrical fires or, you know, the kind of fires that happen in a car. So I bought the right fire extinguisher, and I didn't just want it laying around in the car. So I got this pretty cool mount. This is from Street Faction Engineering, and it actually mounts to the front of the passenger seat and kind of like just sits on the floor. That way the fire extinguisher is in an easy accessible place for the driver. So I'm gonna toss this thing in, see how it looks. Hopefully it's not too cumbersome and it's still easy for a passenger to get in and out, but we're gonna find out. Installation of the fire extinguisher is done. Super simple. Just bolts right at the front of the seat. The fire extinguisher, the bracket that comes with the extinguisher actually bolts to that bracket. It's got a bunch of different slots you can put it in, so That seems to be the best place in my mind, and it's not really in your way at all when you get in, especially the way you sit in a Z, your feet are like way out there. So it seems like it'll work pretty good. And like I said, now it's in a great spot. If anything does ever happen, I can just reach it from the driver's seat. So overall, pretty good. Had to get one last shot because I'm just so happy with how cool these headlights look. All right, guys, that's going to be a wrap on today's video. I'm happy to have that frame at least kind of fixed. And I'm super happy to have some headlights that actually work now. It means I can finally drive at night and enjoy this thing a bit more as just a regular car. Super excited about that. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I do appreciate that. And get excited for the next one, because in the next video, this front end is going to continue getting a makeover. I've got some pretty cool stuff in store. So click that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, and I will catch you guys in the next one.